Carolyn.Sanita, transformation coach, here to talk with you about blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. Let's get started. In this video, we will talk about blood sugar and its direct effect on insulin and how that will always have an effect on our ability to maintain and or lose weight or body fat. Let's get started. First, let's get started with defining blood sugar and how it directly affects insulin. Blood sugar is simply the amount of sugar you have in your blood in your body. That's simple. The body is a tightly regulated machine with systems in place to ensure your survival. Now, one of those systems in place is there will never be more than 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar in your blood at all times. I repeat, there will never be more than 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar in your blood at all times. Why is that? So, when we consume a breakfast that is higher in sugar and or carbs, that does not have any protein and or fat to help blunt that sugar spike, we cause our blood sugar to spike. So high sugar smoothies, donuts, if we're also consuming pancakes with a heavy amount of syrup on those are going to spike our blood sugar due to the overconsumption of sugar in the meal. So when that transpires, the body goes into its systems of regulation because, reminder, the body is always working to keep us at a level of homeostasis, which is a fancy way of saying balance. So when we consume a high sugar and or carb breakfast with no protein or fat to help balance it out, spikes our blood sugar, and then the body goes, hold up now, let's bring insulin in. It's time for insulin to do one of its many jobs. And what is that? I also want to note that not consuming a breakfast with a protein and or fat within the first 2 hours of waking up can also spike the blood sugar and can also put you in the same cascade of hormones that are going to be discussed throughout this video. So what exactly is that system? That system starts out with we've overconsumed sugar and or carbs, we've spiked our blood sugar, and the body goes into a regulatory state and says, release insulin from the pancreas. We're going to secrete insulin. Insulin's going to do one of its many jobs, come in, take all that excess sugar out of the blood and store that sugar into our cells for future use. However, I want to note, if we do not utilize that excess storage of sugar in the cells through, i.e. exercising, walking, jogging, weightlifting, running around with your kids, dancing the night away, there are a plethora of ways that will actually be stored in the cells as fat. I want to make it very clear, insulin is not the bad guy here. Insulin is a tool within the body to help keep us at a space of regulation. And one of its many functions is this, which is to remove excess sugar from the blood and store into the cells for future use. So what happens to blood sugar after insulin comes in and does its job of removing excess to get us back to 1/4 of a teaspoon? Well, what goes up must come down. So when insulin removes all that excess sugar out, blood sugar drops, which leads to fatigue, brain fog, and also sugar and or carb cravings because your blood sugar is trying to get back to a space of functioning, and most importantly for your brain, because our brain runs off of glucose, which is just a fancy way of saying sugar. The body is a tightly regulated system. So when blood sugar drops, the body knows that we need to have energy just in case a tiger comes along. So it releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone made and secreted by the adrenals, which sit on top of your kidneys. Cortisol is a fantastic hormone. That is a hormone that wakes you up in the morning, so it's more elevated in the morning and gradually decreases throughout the day for you to go to sleep at night. It's also that hormone that if you're in a space of danger due to external factors, cortisol is going to pump through your blood so you either can flee or fight your way so you can survive, because that is the main function of the body, is to survive. So insulin and cortisol are simply doing what they are instructed to do by the machine that is your. It's also to be noted that excess, prolonged, or unnecessary secretions of cortisol through the body can lead to retaining of fat, which is where, for common, you have the cortisol belly, where you have a little bit more of that visceral fat set up around the organs. That would be an example of what that looks like within the body. So now that we understand those processes, how do we counteract that from happening within our daily routine? It's actually quite simple. We want to consume a balanced breakfast, and we want to consume protein-rich and/or fat breakfast within the first 2 hours of waking to help regulate that increase of cortisol that wakes us up, so we're not staying in an elevated level with the cortisol. Also, I want to talk about the big dog of nutrition, okay? Everybody's like, ooh, protein, protein, protein. Let's not forget fiber and the role that she plays in our overall health. We're talking digestive health, we're talking cortisol levels, we're talking blood sugar regulation, insulin regulation, we're talking heart health. Protein is essential, absolutely, but the big dog of nutrition, if we're talking about real big dog, is fiber. So, well, yes, we want to make sure we're getting a balance of protein and fat within the first 2 hours of waking. We also want to ensure that we're including fiber in each of our meals, and especially first thing in the morning, because of its powerful effects on regulating the blood sugar levels, the insulin levels, which will also regulate hormone levels. So here are 5 foundational benefits of consuming balanced meals, not only throughout the day, but most importantly in the morning within the first 2 hours of waking. We're going to optimize our health. We're going to have a lower fat storage. And we're also going to reduce our cravings for higher sugar and or carb foods, because we're starting that day out with a more regulated system by consuming a protein-rich, fiber-rich, and fat as well breakfast within the first 2 hours of waking. Think clearly, optimize our energy and our moods throughout the day, which is so important now more than ever if you just look outside. So what are a couple breakfast options that you can include into your routine if you're not so accustomed to what has been mentioned in this video? I love using the KISS method. Always keep it simple. There's already so many decisions that we make in our daily lives that if you don't have the capacity to do an elaborate meal, that's actually a-okay. So I would always say a 3 to 4 egg omelet is a great option. I will provide here some of the nutritional value that comes along with it. You're gonna get good sources of protein and fat. You're also gonna get those B vitamins that come along with consuming eggs. Throw a little cheese in there if your body tolerates for some more full fat and a little bit of protein. Throw some veggies in there just to get some good vitamins and some good fiber in it as well. It's going to offer you a fullness and offer you stabilized energy to tide you over until you consume your next meal. Another really great option is always going to be oats in the morning. Such a great serving of fiber, which I have broken down here fully what that looks like for you. It's also a great way to just dress it up in the ways in which you as an individual like. For me personally, consuming oats, I love to throw a little bit of chia seeds in there. I'm really big on crunchy things. So like I'll chop up like half of a serving of almonds and throw it on top. And you're gonna get some good protein from that, get some good fat source from that. And then I also, and those chia seeds are gonna offer you some omega-3s, which are anti-inflammatory properties. You can also throw some frozen or fresh berries on there to get some antioxidants. There are a variety of ways. You can cook it with water. You can cook it with your milk of choice, dairy or non-dairy. It's just one of those staples that offers so much nutritional value, but it can be individualized based off of what's available for you. And also, most importantly, like what you like and what is sustainable for you. Because that is so important in these journeys, is what can you maintain in your day-to-day life? And that is gonna look differently for each person. So for me, I like to keep it super simple. I love a warm breakfast. It sits well on my tummy. So after I have my warm water and lemon, I then offer myself some Equip Protein, which I am an affiliate of and very grateful to be a part of this journey as well. And I'll do half a serving of chia seeds for some good fiber and omega-3 fats, and I'll do some hemp seed protein powder from Manitoba Harvest, just to like up that protein and up that fiber level. And I personally don't like to consume a big breakfast, but I do want a nutritional breakfast. So the smoothie I'm sharing here with you and the serving size of each thing is what sits well for me digestively, and also like the time and space I have in the morning. I don't have the capacity to make a breakfast in the morning, so I do what works, I do what offers me nourishment, and I do what is sustainable for me, and ensuring that I'm getting that protein, that fat, and that fiber first thing within the first 2 hours of waking. Because I have seen how effective it is, and I've seen how it can be destructive for my day to not start my morning and honor myself in offering myself in this nourishment. So 1 scoop of the Equip Protein grass-fed beef isolate powder offers me 20 grams of protein at 120 calories, which is fantastic. I also will do 3 tablespoons of the chia seed. The chia seeds offers me 12 grams of fat, 6 grams of protein, and 12 grams of fiber, and it's higher in omega-3s, so it's going to give me those anti-inflammatory properties, which I always want to have my ratio of omega-3s over the omega-6s. And then the hemp seed protein powder is going to give me 3 grams of fat per serving, which is 4 tablespoons, 13 grams of fiber, and 13 grams of protein. It's around about 450 calories. It is such a great way for me to start my day and just jam-pack as much protein and fiber in as I can, so that throughout the rest of the day, I'm not clawing at trying to get those numbers. I've already sustained a significant amount with my first meal. So the smoothie I just mentioned is 39 grams of protein, 15 grams of fat, and 25 grams of fiber within the first 2 hours of waking. Chef's kiss. That's what works for me. The importance of this is finding out what works best for you, and that's a trial and error thing. Friendly reminder, I'm a nutritionist, integrative health coach. I've been doing this for over 10 years, so I've learned how to maneuver and play around. So always be patient and easy with yourself as you navigate what is sustainable and what works for you and your routine, most importantly, your routine. So as you play around with your high protein, higher fiber, with also some fat, breakfast options, a great way if you are still kind of navigating foods that offer higher protein, higher fat, higher fiber. Utilize the search engine of your choice and see which ones you like, see which ones you're open to, and just play around with it. And most importantly, have fun in this journey. We are not meant to be rigid and stuck in a box and not enjoy this process. Life is already so hectic. So find the fun, find the joy, find the protein. Most importantly, find that big dog fiber. And meet me back here soon for the next video.